Welcome to round 27 of AI development updates. Now, GPT-5 is here and it is free. And I don't know if this is going to last after it is free. I don't know if it is still going to be the most cost-effective AI development mechanism, but it is right now. And if you're paying attention at all, you're aware that there are multiple long-running clients for AI development. We've touched on Claude Code, and for probably a good month, Claude Code was king. But now, with GPT-5, we could be using OpenCode. Maybe we will be using OpenCode. But if it's free on Cursor, it's free on Cursor. And that means we're using Cursor background agents. So let's look over here. This is the illustrative project, AI Outreach. We have fixed API URL and authentication. We can routinely run these background agents to fix specific problems and then open PRs and then run BugBot on the PRs. So it does not look like there was a commit after this. It says key selection, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go to fix in web. We're going to do this a handful of times, but there's a completely new iterative process afoot here. So I'm not even going to read this. I don't care. I actually do know what's going on, incidentally. It is not bringing the API key into the API docs for the try it demo, whatever. All right. And you can see that here even. Not to mention, look at this. It had the completely wrong URL for the base URL, which is embarrassing, and it wasn't dynamically fetching. So let's start from scratch, and let's think about what I actually need to do on AI Outreach. Let's go back over here. I have a local host up. Should I think of something very specific and simple? Okay. So OpenAI export. I don't want the button up there. I have a button to download OpenAI JSON right there. So let's go over here. Let's go to Cursor. Let's open a new agent. This does pollute the agents tab quite a bit, and I'm wishing for more screen real estate. The very first thing is make sure you are on Max with GPT-5 Max. That is free during launch week. Look at that. 272 context window. Pretty decent. So make sure you're on GPT-5 Max and make sure you're sending the background. If you're not sending the background, then it is effectively just running the agent locally. For whatever reason, I have a lot of issues with the local agents both timing out and discontinuing work routinely. And with the background agent, that's less of a problem. Another fun note for my beloved team is we've been basically doing all the projects in WSL. And that's to use Claude Code, right? So we've been doing it with Claude Code. That's great. Turns out that running the background agent in Claude Code in WSL, or I'm sorry, running the background agent in Cursor in WSL, it doesn't have direct access to GitHub in the correct way that it needs to. What happens with this, and in many ways this is better than Claude Code, is it's opening up a virtual machine every time we run a background agent. And feel free to stop me. Eli, and they won't be able to hear you, Eli, by the way.
If I talk?
Yeah, they won't. I don't think so. I didn't share
okay.
I actually don't know. I don't know. Anyway, well, fucking GitHub won't connect, and it needs to open a virtual, it opens a branch, it opens a VM, it runs on their cloud compute, and then it is going to open a PR ultimately. We're going to discover there's actually a few different routes to bring the independent branch changes back. But because it wants to use that flow and I want to use that flow, it really just doesn't work in WSL. Why? I have no idea. So I ported this entire project over to Windows specifically for this. Not dissimilar from how we ported the entire project over to WSL to use Claude Code. Okay, so we send it background. Couple of key notes here if you want to get the most out of GPT-5. GPT-5 is extremely literal and specific. So this project is our production AI outreach project. Some of you may know that I keep a background project that is relatively greenfield. Every time one of these models comes out, I experiment to see just how far I can get using the latest and greatest methods. And that's really how I'm measuring the model's individual performances. In this case, I was trying to have it make a video game in Phaser because Phaser is a JavaScript-based thing. And by the way, it's very hard for the AI, right? Playwright end-to-end testing is barely going to help if I'm trying to make a video game. So on that project, it was stalling out. It was doing horribly. And the worst thing is, I said, update the context as you execute the to-dos. And GPT-5 took that to mean, update the documentation. That its only task was now to update the documentation. And it was early terminating. That's just one example. GPT-5 is horrific. It's good in many ways, and the code is great, and it puts all the conversation in thought. That's another thing to know. So we have to expand the thought to be able to see what it's actually thinking and doing. But the big issue is if you don't ask for explicitly what you want in the prompt, meaning that if every little background prompt I send here is not like 2 or 3 paragraphs long with user stories contained within it, it's going to come out totally wrong, or it's just not going to do it. So I don't fret too much about the context. Here's this one at the top of the, let's look at the route, API-docs. At the API-docs page, we have a button to export the Open API JSON. We have one below. I want to remove the one at the top of the page. And this is about the level of prompting. This is a very simple thing. This is about the level of prompting I've been using elsewhere. The other thing is it doesn't open up a download screen. The second link, the one we are keeping, needs to be an actual download, not just pointing to the raw JSON file. Okay, so now we have everything we need, and we're going to see the entire flow here and what all this garbage is. So 1, we've confirmed we're on GPT-5 Max. 2, we've confirmed that we're on send to background, which is really important. 3, before we launch, we need to make sure that we are up to date. Okay, so rough. Okay. So we're going to have to do some GitHub fuckery here. We'll see if I can commit. I can. It's going to screw up. So now I'm detached. My head is detached. Is that great? Let's see if I can go over here and pull. So if you recall, I said that we're opening up a VM. So what is the code base that we're opening up the VM for? Great. So I could just do a simple git pull. By the way, I don't trust these anymore because look at my branch. Look at this. Fucking nightmare. What is this over here? All right.
Why is it jumping?
Because I'm opening a PR every time I run the background agent. Now, there are advantages to this, which we're going to get into. And there are also ways to avoid it, but I don't want you to avoid it. So I'm not even going to really show you the other ways. It seems to be suggesting we do this squash merge. It doesn't matter. I'm at the head. I'm not at the head. Origin is below us, so I actually need to get push. But I'm doing a little manual push-pull with our boy Git. There we go. So now I'm at the head. I'm in master. Forgive me. No, what are we going to do? I made a lot of progress over the weekend. Now, this is referring to this right here. And I can actually select the branch. Now, the problem is I have 1 kabillion branches now because every time I do one of these background agents, I'm getting a new branch. We'll talk about how to mitigate that. I didn't always do that. We have a little bit of extra. So I'm on master, and whenever the master is, I believe on remote. I'm not sure. It could be local, but it's almost certainly remote. So whatever the master on remote is, I'm going to take that branch, I'm going to open a VM, and then I'm going to give GPT-5 this context that it needs to be able to remove that specific thing. We'll send it the background. And if you note here, because we have updated cursor, why this is a long-running thing, I have no idea. We have started a new agent. And right here, it's giving us all the juicy context. So here it is thinking, and here it is running a quick scan and all this. I'm not going to pay attention to that or fret about it. This should resolve very quickly, which will enable us to see the next phase, because I'm asking it to remove a button and then basically add a... How do we make things download? An HTML, JavaScript, I don't actually remember. It's trivial. It's like a stupid little HTML tag. So it's looking through everything. Keep in mind that this is fresh context every time. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because GPT-5 is pretty good at getting context. And the context window is sizable enough. I mean, it's what we've been doing. Actually, I think it's a little bigger than what we've been getting with Claude 4. And I will say, by the way, because there was about a week here where we were on Opus 4.1 with Claude Code, this is better than Opus 4.1, probably, incrementally. All right, so it's looking through everything. It's like, oh, hey, how am I going to handle the thing? Oh, look at this. We got the API AI outreach. Okay, I think that's good. And broadly, there are very few to-dos left on this other than testing a handful of things and then making sure that we end up with a functional API, because I'm going to put it on Rapid API. I think that'll be kind of fun. So API, blah, blah, blah. So these little blue things is something like unread. You see a little blue circle? See them there? Yay or nay? It actually matters, Eli. Yeah.
The blue. Oh, yeah.
Right by my mouse. I can't hover over it. It kind of matters because this is the closest we come to knowing. So if I spin up 5 of these at once, which I can do if I have 5 parallel features that aren't going to touch each other, they are going to complete asynchronously at different times, and it's going to fuck up my life. So to minimize the life fucking up, the only tool that Cursor has really given us here is this. So yesterday, before we did my anniversary at the pho restaurant, I spun up a lot of things. Now I can do this on my phone now too, which is the end of communicating with my wife. So I'm really looking forward to that. She is too. Now, this doesn't have a PR. So this was in fact unread. This was improve UI, fix credits, and refine marketing copy. So I actually asked for, it'd be nice to be able to see the prompts, right? Let's see if I can go over here. Here's the chat. So the website crawl should be in a different row. It's too crowded. It's a UI complaint. We need to add the deep research is slow. We need to update these colors, blah, blah, blah. So this was my initial prompt. And now this completed 17 hours ago, which is what the 17 hours means. It made its own title and it made its own branch. And now I'm going to go to OpenPR. This is the critical flow. We'll do this shortly with our remove button. Now it kind of wants us to do squash merge, which is interesting. Of course, I am not smart enough to know what a squash merge is or what any of those things are. And I'm not going to worry about it because there's actually something much more useful. Once I go to OpenPR, I will simply view PR and flood my browser with tabs. And I have paid the $40 a month for BugBot, which has saved my ass with this workflow quite a bit. So I really like running a BugBot over this. And we're going to see what happens in a little bit. Note that there's a yellow icon in the fav icon. That yellow icon means the BugBot is still running. So the moment I hit OpenPR, we'll leave that up there. So there's no conflicts, right? But conflicts are not bugs, right? And by the way, BugBot is not just checking for TypeScript errors, like type errors. BugBot is finding like infinite loops and horrible shit that we really want to avoid. So I really enjoy BugBot. So what I asked here was UI and stuff. I don't think it's really going to screw up there. Now let's go over here, fix the API key selection bug. I think I've already run this several times. Let's view the PR. It had the blue dot on it, so maybe it wasn't ready. It doesn't look like BugBot ran on this. It looks like we're going to need to requery this. The branch was merged and closed, so we're just going to leave it be. I think there was a mistake on my end, so I basically prematurely merged and closed the branch prior to whatever. You'll see that with some things, whenever we find a BugBot error and then we fix it in the web editor, as I did earlier, we're going to end up in some weird states, and that's fine. So here we have SMS and WhatsApp cold outreach, and here it just disabled the coming soon, right? Now I'm worried about without conversing them to LinkedIn. I don't really know what that means. We're going to need to investigate that. We could ask them what it means. We could also look. On channel change LinkedIn. If SMS, oh, okay. So it was coercing the LinkedIn to prevent us from selecting. So it was graying them in the UI, but if you somehow did select them, then it was going to coerce over to LinkedIn. That's fine. That actually makes a lot of sense. All right. It enforces channel specific best practices. So it should have just updated some prompts. WhatsApp, replace HTTPS, validate after processing, process content. That's great. We'll have to review that a little bit more later, but it's fine. And given what I've done with email, all the groundwork is laid for SMS and WhatsApp anyway. So I'm going to go to view PR, and BugBot is going to run. And that has to do with when I hit view PR, it says it's ready to review now. If I accidentally hit the giant green button, let's look back at that, squash merge, it still has a PR, but you end up on the wrong screen and BugBot doesn't start. So avoid the giant green button, right? We are going to merge these back in, but that added layer of BugBot is really nice. Now this is chronically running and it seems to be broken. I'm going to exit out because it's confusing me. And now the one that we started at the beginning is here. Oh, download. Yeah. Oh, with the link. Okay, whatever. I don't know what link is. Who cares? Open PR. And this should be extraordinarily simple. Almost to the point that it almost doesn't make sense for BugBot to do anything. Right? But we're going to use the same exact flow. And if we go back here, BugBot did in fact find that credit assignment fails in pre-reserved workflows. Pre-reserved payment status equals paid. Consumed with credit options. Fails to assign credit type, leaving it undefined. The undefined value is written into the credit usages record. Wow. That sounds really bad. And I think this is actually a good example of what I'm talking about. Like this is horrific. Credits used 1, credit type. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what payment status equals paid means in this context. It doesn't matter. If we are using that field and we have that field, we need to ensure that we are not going to be writing undefined into the database and then erroring specific users. Now, by the way, there's going to be some backwards compatibility issues, which we're really going to need to investigate. It's good we're doing this prior to first big JV. Okay. So improve UI credit, blah, 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 blah. So this is currently working within this branch. If I go back to cursor should now be showing me, so on these computers, I really don't like those. Let's just focus on the in background ones. It should be showing me that it is running a new one. It's not. I'm more worried about that. Let's see what happens if I hit open in web. Now, I find it easier to open in web. You could open in cursor, but the problem is it's going to try to take you over to that specific branch, and you're not on that branch. And managing the Git branches is the core challenge associated with this specific thing. So we have one in progress, and when this finishes, it's going to make a new commit to the same branch that BugBot just found this problem. I think these are prior change. I mean, this is quite a lot. I was just rewriting things in the way that it loves to do. You know? All right. We have faith. We have faith in our AI overlords. All right. So, did we get to one where BugBot cleared? Here we go. So, BugBot successful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it because, of course, there isn't. It's just a UI change. We merge, and now it really matters to delete the branches. It really matters. Turns out, if you're going to be using an independent branch to remove a single button, which is like not that crazy in the grand scheme of things, we are definitely going to want to delete the remove top API export button enable download 5E50 branch. So there we go. Now, let's think about the consequences of merging and blah, blah, blah. So one, this is not up to date anymore. So I need to fetch. And I should see that the remote master is a little bit ahead of me. Now, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I haven't merged the other one. So I just have one ahead of me. Now, in theory, I could hit this button and go to pull. God willing. I'm getting more skeptical of the button. There's another issue. Oh, that worked. There's another issue, which is I have a to-do file, which, you know, one of the interesting things about cursor background agents as opposed to Claude Code, because we were using a lot of layers on our Claude Code, if you recall. Whether it was the RevNet Claude Flow or Super Claude or whatever, we were kind of ignoring our own rules, certainly our cursor rules. The background agent does abide by cursor rules, and one of my cursor rules is write pending tasks to it to do. And it's doing that or something. But watch what happens here. You know, we could, cool, it added hard, which I respect that. It added hard, the word hard in a space. And that's good. And I want to keep that. I can't commit that up. And even if I wanted to, it's going to get all fucked up. But look at that. Oh, I discarded it. But now it's a lowercase to do. And it used to say hard with a space. But I didn't commit that. But then now it doesn't say hard with... Okay, let's just try to... So I'm in some kind of fucky infinite cycle of bullshit with this to-do file. I have no idea why. It's not good. And it's not good specifically because now my job is to be this like hardcore code reviewer of like 25 separate pull requests, assigning the relative complexity and how much effort to give to each of these merges. So that's fine. That's fine. As long as I do the manual push and pull myself, we can just safely ignore that idiotic do file. Hopefully this doesn't affect you or anyone. So now we only have one running. I kind of forget where I was. I cleared literally every asana to do on AI outreach in about 45 minutes. Which, yeah. So anyway, I cleared everything in about 45 minutes. And I also started adding a ton of features. So I'm way past the asana at this point. Let's go back here. So we had the same thing. This checked off, right? So now we're back here. Empty messages after URL stripping. If the AI output was solely URL, the message content becomes empty. While the validate message correctly flags this as invalid, the subsequent remediation only trims the length, failing to restore non-empty content, resulting in blank outreach. Okay. So this is an issue with post-processing. Let's see. Let's spin it up. Let's go back here. This one is done. It's closed. One of the things I don't really like is it spits me out when I do fix in web. It spits me out over here. If I hit back, I would almost prefer to monitor it here because there will be a new push. Let's go back. Can I? No. Okay, so this is, and here's our new push, right? Fixed credit type handling and refund calculation logic. Now what's interesting here is I've presumably resolved this bug. Note that I haven't investigated it whatsoever. And by the way, it's probably not, I don't know when payment status paid happens. It doesn't really make sense. We're using a fucking credit system, whatever. Bugbot run. So I can run Bugbot again because Bugbot will not automatically run on this new commit. And so CursorBot has reacted with emoji eyes, and then it's going to run here. And I'm going to keep doing this before I get merge and close. This is, honestly, this is probably not even related to the specific changes that the agent should have accomplished, unless the agent made regressive changes, which is also entirely possible, because I asked it to change some UI stuff. So it should be like a very straightforward one. I have, for context, one-shotted, yes, this is good, one-shotted some huge features. So I think I one-shotted light research, medium research, heavy research. I mean, it wasn't quite like that. I one-shotted light research, switching the model to Gemini 2.5 Flash. There we go. One check passed, merged and closed, delete branch. All right, cool. Oh, shit. I merged the... Let's restore the branch. Let's restore the branch. Did you see what happened? I've been screwing around on this.
What happened?
So here's the ensure non-empty messages. That's the Bugbot error that it picked up over here. And so, by the way, your working memory can hold 7 plus or minus 2 things, right? Keep that in mind, according to psychology, which is probably bullshit, but who cares? Pull request successfully merged and closed. Cursor, implement, blah, 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 blah. So I merged, but then I destroyed the branch, which means that this guy is fixing a bug that Bugbot found in a branch that no longer exists, which is not great, which is a way that I've burned myself a couple of times here. Cursor Bugbot is still running over there. Now, oh, look, it removed our button. Thanks to the power of next, we do, in fact, we see it in real time. Let's see if it downloads. Yep, downloads. Cool. So the super simple one that I was doing is fixed. Let's see if, I think it's going to expose my API key. Yeah, good. Good, YouTube. Take that API key and bankrupt me. Now let's see if I can do the get request to get credits. And it's complaining about the API key. Now, another fun fact here is Rapid API. I am going to take this error, plain. When using try now on the credits, on the get credits route, I get this error. my API key is selected. Now, if I really cared about our friend GPT, and I wasn't just going to belittle and insult Sam Altman for no reason whatsoever, then I would probably run a curl too, right? And just see what happens if I try to do a curl. Now this is going to have my actual API key in it, so that's good. So we can give that to YouTube as well. Same API key. Come on, little guy, you got it. Boom, curl. Could not resolve host. Okay, so one, it is, and I fixed this before, and we didn't have a regressive change, so it's app.ai message outreach. The problem is, your boy here is having a little bit of a hard time managing all these Git branches. So let's resolve this. You know, the other thing is, let's fix that. Authentication required. I also think I think it should be API. Maybe not. Maybe not. I really muddied up my shit there. This. All right, that's fine. That's all I need. And we'll give it the beautiful and illustrious code that it craves. When C URL'd, AIOutreach.io. Additionally, the URLs are not dynamic. Oh, you know what it might be? Is this might be a new route that is not yet on production. So does that mean I can fix it? It should probably be working on try now. Let's get rid of this. Is this hitting localhost? We're, oh, fuck. Note that I didn't even send a background, so now I have to completely abandon this line of inquiry. Copy and paste over here, send a background. We're on dev. It says saying localhost. Is it sending the API key? Let's feed it a little bit of dev server logs. Credits balance. So it kind of seems like it is hitting this, but it's also getting some pitch data, which seems unrelated. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's hitting the credits balance, but that is part of just being on the page because we show the credits on every page. Which, by the way, should probably be caching that. Find potential issues, report back, and fix. And if you have high confidence. All right, send that guy to the background. So that is working in the background. We have fixed unreserved credit type for pre-reserved, fixed undefined credit type for pre-reserved workflows. Let's go back to our PR. If you remember, I closed this and then I opened it and then I did all kinds of goofy stuff. Okay, credits misclassification, blah, blah, blah. Note that there is no new fixed credit type handling and refund calculation logic. Then I reran this misclassification and overconsumption. So this is brand new. And what's more concerning is that it is not 2 commits. It's only 2 commits. So we'll go over here. I think you get the gist of it by now, though. A lot can get done. It is a very serious problem to manage the various PRs that we are introducing. And we have multiple interfaces, both on web and locally, that make it even more confusing. And then we have additional tools because of this, which is good. Okay, I have literally no idea what this branch is, right? It's reserved and it's closed. And to prod 3 from master. Enhanced startup time. All right, so we're just going to ignore that. The job becomes quite different. And ultimately, what we end up doing now is finding real world use cases, whether it's debugging, functionality, etc., and doing a little QA back to our boy. And the area in which we desperately need clear development knowledge and dominance is to be able to spoon feed GPT the right path. Honestly, GPT-5 is pretty good so that even if you just have a user story, you get pretty much all the way there, which is kind of neat. Anyway, questions, ideas, thoughts, considerations. I'm kind of stalling.
Over it again.
You want to? Son of a bitch.
I wasn't paying attention.
We did a handful of them. I will say, I've gotten some huge runs out of this for a specific feature set. When you guys recall, well, note that we have glassomorphism on here. Let's see if that lasts into production. It's going to be curious. Oh, so we probably fixed the double submission thing. I didn't actually investigate that. Probably a couple branches behind. You get I think the main gist is there's a lot going on with GitHub now. That said, I really like Bugbot, and Bugbot is just $40. There's no quota, so it's just $40. You're spending the $40 a month, or you're not, and they've reserved the right to restrict you if you're abusing it. I don't think I'm abusing it, and I think it's enabled across the team. Now you remember my UI changes, but it never quite got there because we're still waiting on Bugbot parsing. Pull request successfully merge and close, implement SMS. So in theory, when I go back over here, I should have SMS enabled. I do. Doesn't have a default channel for it. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back. Yeah, but seriously, any questions, ideas, thoughts, concerns? I mean, this is a very different and exciting domain here. Here's my branch. Nothing? Does this make sense to you? Do you feel like there's areas to improve upon?
In terms of like showing how it works.
Well, in terms of like, this is what we do now.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and it's a pretty tight workflow. You know.
Mm-hmm. I am frustrated about the various GitHub things, but the Bugbot thing helps a lot because we were just raw dogging it before, you know?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And you have much greater transparency here with these diffs and on GitHub itself if you chose to. Honestly, I think this UI is an improvement over GitHub for diffs. But we have much greater transparency here than we do on Claude Code. Oh my God. Right? So that's cool. And debug fixed credit usage tracking. If you discover that, hey, we should totally be using squash merge or whatever.
So squash merge just pushes all the changes onto the merging branch versus like combining them.
Oh, interesting. So it kind of bypasses standard merge?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. I guess that would work in a lot of cases. I mean, it's kind of pushing us towards that. Right? Like Cursor seems to be telling us that that's what we should be doing with the big green button. I will say though, I wouldn't get my Bugbot. And Bugbot has saved my ass a couple times because it's found infinite recursions, for example, like severe runtime issues. Yeah, it's pretty damn good, dude. I mean, in retrospect, I tried to tell my wife. She was like, what the hell were you doing on a Sunday or whatever? On our anniversary. Struggling in bags under my eyes. In the desperate attempt to knead my bones into flour to make bread. And I was like, well, I saved the operational costs of AI outreach by 60%, probably. And I'm not really sure what else. I mean, the reality is, I checked all the channels. Sequences weren't working adequately before. Let's do a quick one over here. We resolved every bug that we had documented and added a shit ton of new features. Like, it was pretty good. It felt good. But in the end, what is life? Right? These are the critical questions that this is you did. to answer. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. And now that I can make stupid prompts from my phone, because I can't see anything from the phone. So all I can do is just say, like, keep going, buddy. I did not do that at dinner. I'm not so primitive as to have done that. But I was tempted. I was like, man, I could pull out the phone right now and just keep begging the agent to continue doing whatever it's doing. I have no idea. I can't see the diffs. I'm on a phone. I'm on an iPhone 2 mini. Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty good. A lot of progress. Oh, our Liam's notification, we also have pause, stop, start, whatever. And I don't know what's going on with old Marcy Stutes. Miss Stutes. What are you doing, Marcy? Dr. Marcy Stutes. She's coming in hot. She got 20,000 lines of context getting fed into here. But anyway, once Marcy Stutes is done, you can pause midway through the campaign and export and view the table.
Thanks, sweet God.
Yeah, it's actually, you know.
Because I was about to ask you to kill this process.
Why?
Oh, no, it's been going on for like a half an hour, maybe? It's been going on for a while.
Oh, your process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marcy's not doing that bad. In theory, she's doing light research and she should be done a lot faster. But Gemini Pro is taking sweet time. I will say we're using Gemini with search grounding pretty much everywhere. That's going to affect costs in kind of an unpredictable way. Oh, I probably need to update the
Actually, you
cost
probably should
basis.
still kill the process now that I'm saying this.
Your process?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think I'm going to push to production. And that's going to kill everything.
Okay.
And you know what's fun? You will be able to
Choose
extract even that, yeah, which is interesting.
That's all.
Give you higher confidence for doing bigger, longer things. Let's go and look at Marcy. Let's see if Marcy wants to interface with our fake company. The other fun thing here, so this is the email. Jeremy David Evans is on my profile, so let's forgive it for that. Maybe I should make a YouTube video about the actual shit we're doing.
Maybe.
You know?
Probably make a new YouTube video about setup.
It is roughly the same. I mean, there are some things that are timeless in AI development. Timeless. Such as PRD creation and blah, blah, blah. Like, that still holds. Now it's just which model and how are you going to go about your PRD creation. So look at these.
Yeah, if you could,
Go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was like, oh, yeah. If you could make it 10 minutes, that'd be great. But realistically, you probably can't without editing. So, like, it probably is irrelevant.
Yeah, I'm too lazy.
What is the MCP, or the MCPs all the same still? Or the new ones?
Yeah. One of the curious questions I have is, does Cursor Agent use your MCPs? The answer is probably no, which is kind of a substantial weakness because we get so much mileage out of Perplexity MCP, for example. That could change the calculation. As of right now, I really like this flow. Eli, as you do this, of course, I want feedback about areas to improve it. You actually know what a squash merge is. I do not. I love these. Thought on GRS CMMC services, connecting informatics to manage services. Came across your
What
profile.
service? GRMCC?
I don't know. GRS CMM.
What does that stand for?
Woodchuck, wood. What a woodchuck is. With your unique perspective on data and systems efficiency, this is fine. One of the things that I did get it to do, for example, is in the sequence, it will only use a personal connection once. Since you noticed last week, I was thinking about the compliance and documentation burden for government contractors can be immense. This must be some government contractor situation. Given your strategic role on the board, blah, blah, blah. Pretty good. And only once will it say, like, hey, yo, Jeremy from Boulder here, coming hot at you. I'm reaching out because we recently helped the DC area IT services firm. I think that's a hallucination on this test demo, which is a shame. Does GRS ever face challenges with time-consuming manual processes on the way? To be honest, I might try to massage that to make it work, right? I see what you're saying about Sir Cly. You realize there's also, but I prefer this PR thing for the bug bot basis. Cursor also has opened up their API since last time we used Cursor, which is interesting. So
Cursor agent's different than just using the regular chat window with Max.
So, yeah, let's talk about that. And for broad edification, I'll keep working through these as we discuss it.
Yeah.
It's actually it's very interesting. So in Cursor, we have the agent, right? I just go over here and I use the agent. The agent, and we're going to talk about a couple things. One, the agent is going to work until it thinks it's done, and it's going to be more prone to ask for like, hey, what do I do next? The agent, in theory, is not dissimilar from Claude Code. The reason we've been using Claude Code is twofold. One, Claude Code was very cheap back when the Pro plus Max Super Deluxe was basically criminal. It was like so cheap, it was like insane. They've taken that away. So the cost efficiency of Claude Code is gone down.
So it's only $20 or $100 slash whatever it is.
Well, I was paying $200, and we were using a team of 3, and kind of, whatever. We were in theory using a team of 3, and I would max it out when I was using it. You guys never maxed it out, and yeah, we got a lot of mileage out of that $200 thing. They made it like 3 times more expensive or something, right?
Like 600 now.
No, more like you get 3 times less for 200.
Fuck.
So the agent here is going to stop much sooner than something like a CLI agent would. So Cursor CLI, Claude Code, Open Code, these are all CLI agents. I like NeoVim as much as the next retard. Can I say that? Are we live? I don't want to like waste a lot of time like screwing around with CLI if I don't have to. The reality is the UI on the CLI is way less transparent, and then it relies on Git diffs and for your own Git branch management, which I wasn't even doing because it was too hard. And this is doing something that is much more robust at scale and safer for a mature code base. The CLI just goes in on your local files and starts doing stuff, lots of stuff. And if you're doing 2 or 3 things in parallel, well, now your Git diff from your last commit is 2 or 3 different things you're barely parsing out. And I was having to commit on its own, which was something. So at the very least, I'd be able to see what changed for that CLI in that commit, blah, blah, blah. Background agent is not dissimilar from CLI because it's designed for a long execution time with no feedback. It's basically the same thing, but the difference is the background agent is able to work on its own VM on its own branch, and that is safer, and it enables us to use BugBot on the way back into the master branch or whatever, which is interesting. So for example, if Eli and I are both on master, which is now a feasible option, we could both be on master making background agents from master, which is actually in many ways desirable, and spinning them off into their own branches and then just basing the PRs back to master, so that even as we both work on the things, as long as we're working on relatively different things, really what needs to happen next is nurturally. There are plenty of isolated features on nurturally to be able to split up between us. We could both work on master. It would spin off dozens of independent branches. We merge those branches back. With CLI, you're kind of stuck on the same branch. There were some Git tree developments, and I think Open Code has a little bit, or Open Code is yet another CLI that is model agnostic. Some Git tomfoolery that could also solve this problem. The question for us is cost efficiency. So right now, GPT-5 being free, yeah, it's cost efficient. It's super cost efficient. In the future, Open Code could be more cost efficient. And Open Code being an open source version, just like the Gemini CLI, it's likely to end up with layers on top of it that might utilize things like persistent memory across executions, which could be more valuable. But the agent in Cursor is shorter running. It is going to ask for feedback. And if you're actively debugging a complicated thing, that would be ideal. All of these, the background agents and the CLIs, are all long running and designed to not ask for feedback whatsoever. To that end, you are much more hands off. And for that reason, you need to have a clear grasp on what you're doing and make sure that it's not screwing up. All right, so I've already merged that. Got the little blue icon here. This is an open PR situation. All this type safe stuff. Disgusting.
When you say you're doing multiple agents at once, does that mean you have multiple cursor windows for the same project up, or is that all happening under the same cursor window?
It's all, so background, cursor background processes open an entire VM from the master branch. So every time I spin up a new background process, it is cloning into, what does cursor use? AWS? I don't know, right? But it's spinning up from my GitHub repo, installing everything intelligently, by the way, without me giving any kind of like Nixpax configuration. And it's making an entirely new project from which to play with the code base. Weaknesses of this approach include the fact that, so for example, one of the core MCPs that really tighten the loop on information and context gathering efficiency, Playwright. Where are we? Playwright, Perplexity and Playwright are enabled here. Context 7 and Task Manager, I also like that. Sequential thinking is enabled, even though it broke for whatever reason, silently. 21st Century Dev Magic, I don't care. I get rid of that. Money into it, right? I don't. These are all really great. Cannot install or run Playwright because the VM that Cursor is giving it doesn't have access to certain Linux packages that it needs to open a Chromium browser. So it cannot see the front end using the Cursor background agent. So areas where I would still use this would be complex debugging, or if I need to have it use end-to-end testing manually with the MCP via Playwright. So
Okay, so what are you using typically? Are you using the thing?
it's almost all background. It's almost all these background agents.
How do you spin up a background agent?
By hitting agent and then send a background right here.
Okay, and then you then immediately after
that.
doing that, you go right back into the agent box, type some other shit you want it to do, send it to background, and then you just keep doing that to have multiple agents.
Exactly. And you spin up multiple background agents. One, you have to be extremely literal with GPT-5. Right?
Okay.
That's the biggest trip up, because GPT-5 is not as aggressive as Claude 4. Right? So it will terminate prematurely.
How'd you fix the documentation issue again?
What do you mean?
But you were like, oh, like I think you said one time, it's like, oh, I told you to update the documentation, and then like it just decided that its only task was to update the documentation, and it was like prematurely put in.
I completely removed that line about documentation and had a raw dog yet with no documentation update. Now it's still, according to my cursor rules, worked off of a to-do and checked off the to-do. Yeah, it's painfully literal. Okay, here's my UI branch. Let's view
So
the
it can still make the
PR.
to-do in the PRD, but you don't have to check anything off of it now,
Correct.
or at least okay.
I mean, it'd be better if it did, but there are certain limitations. I cannot tell if this actually resolved this. Misclassification and fix UI credits, website crawl, blah, blah, blah. Let's actually look into this.
Is BugBot an extension? If it's not an MCP?
Yes, BugBot is connected to your cursor account, and it is subscription basis by which it will review PRs. So here's credit usage. Here's credit usage. Consume credits with option, credit time monthly versus regular, blah, blah, blah. I may do a couple of like refactoring and broad checks as well as end-to-end testing, but AI outreach is more or less cooked. I'm confused here because this doesn't seem to have made a new commit. API key selections, if you remember that was the bit about the API docs. All right, well, I think wrap. This is the new meta as of now. Over the next few days, I'm sure Eli's going to say like, hey, this doesn't make sense. It'd be awesome. And then that would reveal a lot of new exciting stuff. Let's take a YouTube video. What do we do next? We are sponsored by Screaming Goat. Screaming Goat remains on my desk. He screams if you push him down. A terrible gift for people that have kids. So long, farewell.